holiday music returns to Expressions with performances from Celtic Charm, Cascassette, and the Enwell Community Chorus. Friday night at 8:30 on WSKG TV.
Good evening and welcome to the Expressions Digital Director's Cut Songs for the Seasons edition. I'm Andy Piak, the show's producer, and I'm broadcasting live from the North Pole. Well, not really. This is actually WSKG television production control, and over the next hour, we are going to take you behind the scenes of our latest batch of holiday episodes. We produced 2 new programs featuring 4 groups of talented musicians, and we hope to catch up with them all this evening. And if you missed any of the holiday musical magic, you can check it out by visiting www.wskg.org/expressions. And a link to the programs will be posted in the chat box at the conclusion of this event. Now, you can also use this chat box to ask a question about the Expressions programs or to any of the musicians as we bring them in this evening. Now, we are going to talk to the harp and flute duo of Meredith Bocek and Melanie Valencia shortly. But first, let's take a look at one of their songs that didn't make the broadcast program. Meredith Bocek on the harp and Melanie Valencia on the flute. And let's bring them into the stream right now. Hello, Meredith. Hello, Melanie. How are you this evening?
Just fine.
Great. Thank you.
Now,
Hi,
before we got going today, I told you that I was going to play that song, and I was actually going to attempt to pronounce it, but after I heard the actual pronunciation, I just immediately gave up. So if you could tell our audience what song that was, I would appreciate it.
Il est né le divin enfant.
Exactly. Exactly.
Or he is born the divine infant.
It was definitely a magical performance, as your entire set was. And I have to say, I think this was the first time, not just on the holiday version, but on any Expressions program, where we had the harp and flute together. So I'm curious how long you guys have known each other and how you got to first playing together.
I've known Meredith forever, but it's been a very short time.
Yeah, I knew the name Melanie Valencia too for a long, long time, and then I saw her playing the flute with it. What's the name? Basin Street Blues Band.
Basin Street band,
in Owego, and her tone was fabulous. I used to be a flutist too, so I know a good tone when I hear it. And I went up and said, "Oh, you sounded great." And I've always wanted to play with a flutist, and then I think Melanie had some of the same ideas, and so it went from there. We had a nice connection with one another.
How, like Melody, I mean, you've been on the show in the past and, played with other instruments. Like how is it, compared to, playing with more traditional instruments, but playing with the harp?
Well, the last time was with the Parlor City Flute Ensemble. I guess it was 8 years ago, maybe. This is totally different. It's a duo, and it's really more of a duo in terms of their independent voices. And Meredith pretty much sets the music because she has two different kinds of harps. So I can just play whatever she throws at me, and then we'll work on it from there.
How did you guys come up with your set list? I think you ended up playing, I think like 7 or 8 songs. Who took the lead in deciding what to play that evening?
I have to say Meredith had too.
Yeah, I did. I have a CD by a group called Harp Song, and it's a flute and harp duo with Jennifer Grady and Karen Almquist. And that is my favorite CD. I have loved it. And during the pandemic, I learned that most of the tunes on that CD, there was music. I never thought that there was. And it turned out the music wasn't that difficult. And then it turned out that the music can be played on both the pedal harp and the what's called the lever harp, which is a smaller version of a harp, more simplified. And then that way we could play in more venues if we wanted to. We didn't have to drag the big pedal harp around. We could then bring a smaller harp. So as Melanie said, that was part of the reason for choosing the repertoire. Number one, I love Becky and Ernie Brock was most of their arrangements, and Kim Robertson, I loved her arrangement, and Suneida Stanislaw, I loved her arrangement. And so we basically went with most of the music that I had chosen.
Well, we always promise little behind the scenes tidbits here. And Meredith, I mean, you can attest, like when we first got to the studio, we had you set up the exact opposite side that you ended up with. We ended up having to move you. It had been so long since we had a harpist that like we couldn't even figure out where to place you to get the best angles from the cameras. But I'm happy that we were able to do that because like I think it turned out really nice, and you guys played just so well together. Meredith, what's it like hauling a big harp around? Like that just has to be a challenge. Like most of the time the challenge is actually playing the instrument. For you, it might just be carrying the instrument.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain. My husband and I have it down. We have the car. I've been moving it. I did a lot of dinner music when I was young, and my mom and I used to move it. But now that I'm older, I like playing the lever harp because lever harp is way easier to move. It's a much smaller version. But playing the big harp is so rewarding that it's worth moving it.
Oh, I love the wide shots where it's just you and then this huge instrument that you're playing, and you're making just like just some amazing sounds with it. Do either of you have any favorite like holiday music memories as you've grown up? Obviously, music is such a big part of the season. I'm curious if anything comes to mind.
Well, for me, my father's a minister, so caroling was always a very important part of the season. And then when I went to college, I got some of my college classmates to go caroling in the streets at whatever college I was at. And then I've done caroling with groups of people at my house. And so it's really part of a celebration of the season. And there's so many great carols.
Well, and Melanie, you're actually like I hope we're not getting you in trouble, because you are like right in the middle of a rehearsal right now, correct?
Well, actually, they postponed it a little bit. So I'm just going to be there just on time. I'm already set up.
Well, that's good. That's good. Well, do you guys have any performances coming up over the weekend to celebrate the season?
I do. The rehearsal is over now.
Can you tell us where that's going to be, Melanie?
Oh, it's part of the services at Our Lady of Sorrows in Vestal. So the first 6 o'clock is with Bert Mueller and I, and that's the Silver and Steel duo. We do a half hour of carols before the service, and then we participate in the service. And then the other one is the Midnight Mass, which is a small chamber group, and it's directed by Matt Favalli.
Well, and you mentioned the group earlier, but I know for a fact that you are still rocking out with the Parlor City Flute Ensemble, because I might happen to know another member of that group. That's right. Yeah, my sister Molly has played with you for years and years, and yeah, it's been great. You know, getting to know you. We saw you on the Tony Valleco show earlier this year, so it's been a good year of expressions for Melanie, and I don't doubt that we will work with you in the future. Before we leave, what is your favorite holiday song, if you have one?
I like Good King Wenceslas. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, Good King Wenceslas, because if you really pay attention to the lyrics, they're beautiful. And John Mason Neal, who wrote the lyrics, wrote them for, if you have wealth, you should reach out to the poor and those less fortunate than you.
That's great, because I think the only Good King Wenceslas lyric I know is just that very first one, and then the rest of it goes. So that I'm glad that you're shining some light on the lyrics that I can never quite remember. So thank you. How about you, Melanie?
I have two. One is Elene, because it's a French carol, and it's the story of people running, I think it's children, running through towns and celebrating the birth of Christ, and they're letting people know. So it gets louder and louder, and then they're in the town, and then as they leave the town still shouting the news, it gets softer and softer, like they're running off to another one. And then my second one is my all-time favorite, which is What Child Is This? Because it's a lullaby. It's in 6/8 or 3/4, and I love the words. And it's also a minor carol, meaning it's in a minor key. And I like the minor key carols because they're beautiful. And it's a lullaby, so it's very sweet and tender.
I'm not surprised that you both chose gentle music, because you provided just a great set, ethereal holiday performance, and we thank you for that performance and for joining us tonight. Melanie, you can go back to rehearsal. Sorry for the other musicians. You got to get back to work now.
Okay.
But thanks again, and you both have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, too.
All right.
It was a pleasure.
Okay, our next group brought an ample amount of Christmas cheer to their performance, and that is evident in their rendition of I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. Here are Chloe Solon and Alyssa Crosby. Check out this bonus clip, and we will talk to the both of them right afterward.
She
Chloe Solon on piano, and Alyssa Crosby providing the vocals here on this holiday edition of the Digital Director's Cut. Let's talk to them right now and bring them into the stream. Hello, Alyssa, and hello, Chloe.
Hey.
How are you tonight?
Hi.
Thank you so much for just a great performance. I love like these Expressions holiday shows because you could have like the harp and flute play along with you two who are just kind of singing some standards. But I thought it was a great overall episode. And I got to ask you, Alyssa, this is your second time on the Digital Director's Cut because you were also part of the Grown Ups program. And that was when I got the idea of maybe you providing some Christmas songs. So why don't you just kind of go into how you ended up connecting with Chloe and how you brought your set list to the show?
So, So thank you for having me also, of course, for the Christmas special. Chloe and I have been best friends. And when you approached me about doing the Christmas special on Expressions, I knew it needed to be accompanied by somebody, and I couldn't think of anybody better than my best friend, who is an amazing vocalist and an amazing pianist. And it just felt like the perfect person to do this with me. So.
Well, what did you think, Chloe, when she brought this to you? Were you immediately excited, or were you like, oh, Christmas songs in October, no less, too? Because we always have to record these shows, well before anyone actually wants to hear any holiday songs. So, oh, Chloe, I think we have the classic problem of I think you're muted. And there we go.
There you go.
I'll edit that out. I'll edit that out for the edited version.
Well, of course, when Alyssa comes to me with anything, I'm probably going to do it. But I was super stoked when she asked me because it's been a while since I've done a lot of like Christmassy kind of things. And, she told me that she was asked to sing for the WSKG special on Expressions, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll play piano for you. And then she was nice enough to I don't want to say force me, but coerce me into also singing.
I didn't feel like it was right for me to be the only one singing when she has an incredible voice, and I didn't feel like it was I wouldn't have been a good friend if I told her, no, you just stay in the background and play piano and I'm going to sing. I was like, no, you're singing. You have an amazing voice, and I'm not going to just have this experience without you being able to have this experience too. Like, it just didn't feel right to do that.
Yes, Chloe ended up singing Oh Holy Night, which made the broadcast version. So definitely check that out. And she also covered Joni Mitchell's River, which I finally was able to upload to our video page today. And so anyone can check out that performance too. And I will definitely share that with the two of you. And yeah, it turned out really well. How did you come about covering a Joni Mitchell song, Chloe?
Oh, this is a loaded question, Andy. So I first discovered Joni Mitchell when I was 13 years old, and I still very clearly remember where I was. I was in my childhood bedroom, which is next door to the apartment that I'm in now. I live next door to my parents. That's fine. It's cool. And I had heard the song California for the first time, her live BBC version of it, which California is also on her Blue album, which River shares that with California. And I was 13, and I just deep dived into this amazing artist and this woman, this artist who not only painted but also painted with her words and her lyrics, and the way that she brought about different topics that were difficult to talk about at the time, and I just completely fell in love. And so Joni has been my everything since I was 13 years old. So here we are, however many years, like I don't really want to say exactly.
I
But
remember years and years ago, seeing Joni Mitchell open for Bob Dylan in Syracuse, probably in the late '90s. And like, I didn't even realize until this year that she had like stopped performing live until I think this summer at the Newport Folk Festival. I think didn't she come back out and
yes,
and
and
perform
she
a
was
set?
with Brandy Carlisle, who is one of my favorites as well. I actually sang one of Brandy's songs when I was in LA, and it was just it's a cool full circle kind of generational thing to see two people that I look up to work together. So
That's really cool. Unfortunately, Chloe, we do have a little bit of problem with your audio. I don't know. I mean, I know we're here right in the middle, so I don't know if there's that much you can do. You're just a little staticky. Everyone can hear you, but it's just not the greatest. So I don't know if there's anything that we can try to do on the fly. Let me ask Alyssa what her favorite holiday musical memory is, and then maybe Chloe can do something with the audio.
My favorite holiday musical memory. Let's see. Well, I mean, I grew up singing. I grew up singing. I don't have a favorite holiday musical memory, but when I was little, I have a funny memory. When I was little, at church, I was probably like 8 or 9, and I had to sing "Oh Holy Night," which, as we all know from watching Chloe sing it, is not an easy song to do. And Chloe, of course, made it amazing and killed it. Of course, I couldn't do it. So I wanted to really bad. And I was like 8 or 9. I wanted to do it so bad. And I was like, just let me do it. Let me do it. I can do it. And I get up there and I start singing it. And it gets to the really hard part. And I just froze and run off the stage in tears because I'm like, no, I can't do this. But it was actually hilarious in hindsight. I mean, it was just one of those funny childhood things that I was like, I'm doing this song. And I'm 8 years old. And it's not an easy song to do. But I'll always remember. It'll always be engraved in my memory that I ran off the stage.
Have you ever sung it since then? Have you ever even tried?
Chloe and I discussed me doing that song, and I think I tried it once, and I was like, you know what? I think you should do this one. And thank God she did. And now that I've heard her do it, I'm never doing it ever again.
oh
No
my
one will
gosh.
ever hear me sing that song for as long as I live. So
So some, they always tell you, you gotta face your fears. Sometimes, you know what, you can just let the fear just stick right there. So
yeah,
not a problem.
I'll face the fear in my shower, in my car, but no, never in front of anybody ever.
Well, what about you, Chloe? What's your favorite holiday song?
Well, to counter what Alyssa just said, every year at my church, I sang "Oh Holy Night." And so from the time I was like 8 or 9 years old up until I was a teenager at the Christmas Eve Mass, I was always singing "Oh Holy Night." And it was cool because I feel like that pre-show to the Mass was the only time that you could clap for things in church. And people clapped for me in church, and it made me feel really cool.
I don't think anyone has ever clapped for me in church.
Like people don't clap in church. It's like a weird thing. I don't know.
No, I understand what you're saying.
Do you guys have any performance? I'm assuming you probably don't have any more holiday performances coming up, but I believe each of you are in local bands. Do you have anything you'd like to plug?
Actually, my band Grown Ups, who were on
yes, I should have thought of this.
Back in September, we were on Expressions. We are playing tomorrow night, Thursday night, at the Lost Dog Cafe in Binghamton. We have 2 openers. We have Alyssa Brajota, who is one of Chloe and I's dear friends, and she's going to be doing a 40-minute set, followed by a band called Tom Joe Lou. They're an awesome local band as well. And then Grown Ups are going to be going on around 9:30. I have no idea when it ends. It kind of just ends when it does. And it's going to be our last show of the year. And we haven't played in a few months. We're really, really excited about it. We have some new stuff. We're working on new music. And I just love working with those guys. They're absolutely amazing people, musicians. So if anybody out there who is listening wants something fun to do tomorrow night, go support some local music and go to the Lost Dog Cafe.
Absolutely. And of course, if you're a little, if all this holiday music is a little too much, you can always go back to our Expressions video page and check out the Grown-Ups episode from back in September, featuring Alyssa on a couple of songs, because that was a great performance. And I know everyone is very excited about the band getting back together. So best of luck with that. And I want to thank you both so much for your performance on Expressions and for joining us tonight. And I just hope you both have a great Christmas and a great New Year. Looking forward to working with you in the future.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Andy.
All right.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
All right. Next up is the Harper's Studio Jazz Band, a great group of musicians to work with from Binghamton University. And we're going to talk to their director, Lawrence Elder, right after we watch their performance of White Christmas. The Harper Studio Jazz Band performing White Christmas here on the Expressions Digital Director's Cut. Songs for the Seasons edition. Now let's bring in the man behind those great dance moves we saw at the end of that song. Let's welcome Professor Lawrence Elder to the stream. Hey, Lawrence, how's it going?
It's going good.
Thanks so much for a great holiday performance. And I mean, we don't want to give too much away, but let's just say that, yeah, there's probably going to be more coming from your group in 2023. Before we get into the specifics of the holiday songs, can you just give us a little history of the Studio Jazz Band at BU?
Yeah, sure. So we've had the Harper Jazz Ensemble at BU for decades, and it was the vision of the music department in the jazz area in particular to have a second band. And so in 2016, I had joined the faculty about a year prior, and I was given the opportunity to start the Harper Studio Jazz Band. And kind of right from the get-go, you could say I had a little bit of a vision for something different than a traditional big band, in that this is a, what's known as a little big band sometimes, a bit of a medium-sized format, less horns, and focusing more on typically post-bop music and fusion and funk and Latin jazz. And that's mostly what we focus on, although we do some traditional stuff as well.
Well, I have to ask how badly I disrupted your semester. Like when we met and we talked about, performing regular songs. And I told you about, the holiday episodes and if your group would be willing to do it. And, we came to an agreement, that we had to record these in October to give me some time to edit. So I don't know. I think you ended up performing 4 songs. So I hope I didn't disrupt your, your musical, your musical flow too badly this semester by throwing holiday music in so soon.
It was pretty bad, Andy, I have to tell you. Yeah, we had to, no, I'm joking. It gave us a chance to focus on, it was great to be able to find some interesting arrangements of Christmas tunes and, treating Christmas songs in a jazz format and still allows us to approach these songs, in the jazz idiom and focus on some of the same lessons. For example, we did this version of God Rest You Merry Gentlemen. And that's got to be one of the hippest arrangements I've ever heard of a Christmas tune.
I was actually going to mention that, and that you can see that on the broadcast performance, but you almost can't even recognize the song in parts, just because of the version and that was put together.
Yeah, the way it's rearranged. And then you start to recognize the melody. Okay, this is what we've done with it. And it's by Steve Clickard is the arranger of the song. And when I first heard it, I said, this would be a great one to do. And it actually uses a rhythm called the bembe, which is an African rhythm that found its way into the jazz mainstream and gave us the subgenre of Latin jazz. So this is really like a Latin jazz hybrid type of song formatted into a Christmas carol. But we ended up doing other repertoire throughout the semester that also utilized the bembe. So in learning how to play it for the Christmas song, the students were then prepared to actually use that for other tunes that we did. So it's kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, I guess.
All right. Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, you planned that, right?
Yeah, exactly. It was all about the membe.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk about your group of students this semester? I think there's 14 members altogether in the ensemble, and that they were just such a pleasure to work with. They were very professional and just got right to it. They took our directions well. We constantly were like, you please need to lower your mic stands and to try to open up some camera angles for us. And they were so easy to work with. Why don't you talk about the students a little bit?
Well, I think that they really rose to the occasion. And I always like to say that I kind of half jokingly say every semester, this is like the best studio jazz band we've ever had, but it's kind of true because it just does keep getting better. It's a great bunch of students, and we focus not only on musicianship, but also teamwork. And the band just plays with a lot of heart, and it does just keep getting better and better. So everybody contributes, and I think we discussed quite a bit before we came to WSKG. I kind of gave them, to the best of my ability, an idea of what to expect, and yeah, they just really did great.
We're seeing the piano player now, and I felt particularly sorry for him because he was there the same time as our esteemed piano tuner Lance G. Hill, and he almost got scolded for playing it before it was actuly ready after the tunage. So
yeah, that'll happen. You gotta be careful around Lance.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a perfectionist.
Yeah, we're trying to showcase this gentleman right here. I got to give him credit. He was the first one to arrive, I believe, during the performance. So that's always a good sign.
That's Lucas. So. Yep. And there's Max, our acoustic bass player.
So of course, these students now, they're on break, and you're probably getting a new group next semester, correct? Or I'm sure some of them are going to return. But do you like each semester? Do you have to break in a whole new group of musicians?
It's funny you mention it because, as far as the band always, getting better every semester, I often get attached to whatever the current incarnation of the band is. Now, it's usually not as much of a transition between fall and spring, although we do re-audition every semester. So it really is a level playing field, and anything can happen. And it does keep people on their toes because you never know who's going to come in and audition. And it keeps the band at a pretty high playing level. But it's more often in the spring semester than we lose seniors. And anybody who's seen me for a while and knows me with the band and everything knows that I usually whine about the seniors leaving, because and it always works out, though. There's always people that come in and take the place. But 2 years, I think it was not last spring, but the prior spring. I mean, we lost 5 really strong seniors who were a very important part of the band, and I was whining about it. But then we had an incredible group of freshmen that just came in out of nowhere, and they are now performing in the band as sophomores. So yeah, to answer your question, kind of a long-winded answer to your question, it can be a challenge.
And I'm assuming that, do the students stay in the band usually for all 4 years, or do they maybe branch out to other groups, or maybe they are tired of watching you, do your
tired of my dance moves, tired of hearing me yakking. But it depends. I have some of the students of the band, I call them lifers because they really do just kind of stay, and they keep re-auditioning and they keep coming back, and they become really part of the fabric of the group. And some of them will try the big band, which is our traditional large ensemble. Some of them will migrate from the big band to studio band or vice versa. But so it really is kind of a mixed bag.
How many performances do you usually have per semester, and where could any of our audience members find out more information about when you perform?
Yeah, sure. So anywhere from 1 to 3. And I mean, so we always have a formal concert at the end of the semester, and has typically and traditionally been in Casada Sioux Recital Hall. And so, the Binghamton University Music Department has a concert calendar, which is certainly one of the easiest places to go to. I think we're actually officially cool now because we have an Instagram page. So that's Bing Studio Jazz. And so, we're starting to post some stuff up on Instagram. But certainly the university music department calendar is one of the easiest places to find out where we're playing as far as on-campus performances. We've also done other performances off campus, especially before COVID. We actually played at the Lost Dog on several occasions and have done various high-profile on-campus events, like the Anderson Center has its season reveal event, where a lot of the ticket holders will come, and we've played there as well. So yeah, there's different various places you can catch Harper Studio Jazz Band. But I always try to advertise abundantly and post everything up on on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and the music department.
Well, definitely be on the lookout for that next semester. Professor,
Yeah.
what is your favorite holiday song?
Wow. I did hear you asking the others that question, so I had a little time to think about that. So I'm torn. That's my.
I don't know that one.
Yeah. I'm torn. I'm torn. It's like wrapping paper. It's a song.
Okay.
It's a wrapping paper song. Yeah. Okay. Just kidding. No, I think it would have to be "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas," and
which your band performed and can be seen on the program.
Right, and I might be torn between that and "Silent Night," because that's one of the other songs we performed on the program. So if I could say something about either one or both, if I can keep it short, I'd say "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas." I always loved that song because the structure of that song is AABA, verse, bridge, verse, which is, the very typical kind of traditional Tin Pan Alley song form. You hear all these wonderful songs that have been written that way. And, one of the things that makes a song like that great is the bridge. So the bridge of "Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas" is just gorgeous. The chord changes, the way it just creates this magic before it goes back to the last A section. So that's my putting on my songwriter geek hat, saying I love that song for that reason. "Silent Night," we did a very special arrangement of "Silent Night," as you know. It was arranged by Wynton Marsalis for the great operatic soprano Kathleen Battle and the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra. And I had never heard an arrangement of "Silent Night" like that before.
Very unique, for sure.
It's
it was like almost like a call and response between the lead singer and the trumpet solo. I mean, it was really unique.
Yeah, exactly. And the trumpeter Tom Eaton played the plunger mute on the solo the same way Wynton did on the live performance, and our vocalist Angela Acevedo has the ability to do both the classical and the jazz. So she was kind of a great pick for this arrangement. And it just allowed me to kind of re-experience and fall in love with that song in a whole new way. So I would have to say I'd be torn between the two.
All right. Well, in the spirit of the holidays, I will allow you two choices.
Thank
Professor.
you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and also for bringing your ensemble onto the holiday expression scene. And I have to say, yes, please be on the lookout for more from the Harper Studio Jazz Band on Expressions in 2023. Professor, thanks so much, and happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays, Andy, and thanks so much for having us. It was really a blast.
Of course. All right, we have one more present to unwrap, and it comes delivered from Ithaca. Here is the London McDaniel Trio performing London's original holiday tune, "Cherish Me," and we'll be right back to talk to London after it's done. London McDaniel on guitar, Nick Abelgore playing piano, and the great Harry Aceto on stand-up bass, performing London's original song, Cherish Me. Let's bring London into the stream right now. Geez, last but not least, London, welcome to the program. Oh, you might be muted, London. Unmute. No, still can't hear you. It looks like your microphone is muted, my friend. Oh, how about now?
How about that?
There we go. There we go.
Sorry.
Loud and clear. Welcome to the program, London.
Good to be here.
So you definitely, I mean, when I contacted the groups for this holiday show, you know, I just expected them to, you know, come in with and play some standards, but you took it upon yourself to actually write like just some original tunes with a holiday vibe. Can you tell me what made you take that task on?
Well, it's funny that you call it a task because it was.
I also didn't give you much time. I think I gave you probably a month.
That's what I'm
I
saying.
called you and when we had to perform. So, I mean,
and I kind of wasn't expecting it because I think you contacted me like at the end of August, and you're like, "Hey, you want to do a Christmas special?" And I was, I assumed that you meant sometime in, I don't know, November or something like that. And you're like, okay, a couple of weeks.
That's the way things work. Yeah, that's the way it works, unfortunately. Yeah, editing works slowly here. So
right. And I really wasn't ready for it because I hadn't finished the songs yet. And I had written in July, I have a manager, and she said to me, you need to write some Christmas songs because I think first and foremost, I'm a composer. So I said, oh, that might be a good idea. And I started that process. And I had one Christmas song and a couple of, I'd say 3 or 4 other ideas. And then when you called me up, I was like, see, that's a lightning bolt from heaven.
I'm often described that. So yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, considering the time frame, I mean, I think they all turned out really well, and I hope you're happy with it. Talk about your partners in crime for this performance. Nick Abelgore on piano, and of course Harry. I know you played with Harry for years and years. Can you talk about how they got roped into this project?
Well, Harry is sort of my go-to upright bass player because he played on my jazz album that recently in 2021 won the Syracuse Area Music Award for Best Jazz Album. So he played on that, and that was, it's really an honor. I'm kind of I play in the Syracuse community all the time. I love Syracuse. I'm a big fan. So Nick is from Syracuse, and he's one of the best musicians up there. He plays with a number of bands. I met him when I played the Syracuse Jazz Festival that Frank Malfitano puts on. I met him playing he was playing with Melissa Gardner, and she's a wonderful trombone player. And so but I met him, he played trombone, and then some time later I found out he's a wicked keyboard player, just like monstrous.
He did a great job. You made him pull double duty there, playing the piano and then also the keyboard.
The bells, yeah. Well, what's funny about that is I just wrote those songs. So sort of we barely knew those songs. I walked up to Nick and I put the charts in front of him and he played them like he had been playing them all his life. So it was like virtually flawless.
Yeah, he did.
It was really wonderful. And I've worked with I've had the opportunity to work with some really phenomenal musicians. For quite a while. I was for a while back. I was in a band called Sex Mob out of Manhattan, and they were on Columbia Records. They still play, and that has Stephen Bernstein and just some really wonderful cats in it that play in the jazz community. His bass player and drummer play with Bill Frisell, and I've had a really great opportunity to play with some amazing musicians. On my first jazz album, I had Chris Potter, and he's played with Wayne Shorter, and he's been touring with Pat Metheny, and then I actually had a friend of mine, Michael Blake, who was in the Lounge Lizards. He played on my first jazz album, and what's really interesting about this is, I had the opportunity to have these recordings. So I was like, well, maybe I should just release them as an album. So I had him play on Rainbow Christmas.
Oh, very cool. Which is one of the songs that was on the broadcast version of
Correct.
The episode. Yep.
Correct. So now the whole a lot of the broadcast has become the Christmas album, and it's really beautiful. And I have to thank you for that, because I'm
glad that I was the lightning bolt that you needed in this past year. But I mean, yeah, you've been part of the Ithaca music scene for years and years, and I know you might not have actually remembered this, but this is not the first time you were on Expressions. Way back in season 1 as part of our Sound Fusion series. There you are playing with Linda Stout. I hope you could say it. Can you see that, London, or no?
I can see that, but I'm trying to figure out if that's the same shirt I'm wearing now.
I almost said that. I'm like, is that the same shirt you wore like 16 years later for the holiday show? Hey, you know what? When you have a favorite shirt, it's hard to let go.
Yeah.
I understand.
It's hard to get rid of it.
But no, that was all the way back in season 1. And here, I mean, so I think we recorded that in 2007. So here, 15 years later, you're still going strong in the music scene, and that's just awesome.
Well,
do you have any?
Oh my gosh! I mean, I just feel really incredibly blessed, that I can, put this music together. I have a really supportive family, and I have kids that are crazy about music, although they don't play themselves. And it's just really, it's really nice to be able to be in a community that's welcomed me, especially, like I said, the Syracuse community has just welcomed me with open arms. I won the best jazz album, and then this year I actually won best R&B album, because I have a few other bands I play with. So it's been really nice. And, whenever I get the opportunity to write music, I really bend over backwards to make it happen. And that's one of the reasons that that this Christmas album happened, because when you said to me, do you want to play the show? You didn't really define what kind of music I had to do. So I just thought, well, I'll write a bunch of songs and we'll see how it goes.
Well, it ended up turning out great. London, I got to ask you, I've asked everyone else, do you have a favorite holiday song?
I do.
You can't count one of your own. You have to.
I do. I know. I knew you were going to say that. I anticipated you saying that. So I would say that This Christmas by Donny Hathaway is my pretty much my favorite Christmas song, followed by Paul McCartney, Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time.
Oh,
and
classic.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a big, I live in the soul universe. But I'm a huge Paul McCartney fan. I didn't catch him the last time he was at Syracuse, but I caught him the time before that, and it was a wonderful show.
Well, that's great. Well, London, thank you so much for taking the time to compose your own Christmas songs. Are you actually releasing? Is there a way that our audience can find these songs?
Absolutely, it'll be streaming on all platforms: Apple, Amazon, TikTok, all of the platforms, and it's called The Christmas Album, and it has the songs in it, and I'll send you a copy because it's cleaned up a little bit, so it has a lot of the stuff, but I spend a lot of time in the studio, so I always like to make everything as beautiful as it can be.
Of course, yeah, the same way I do editing the shows together, for sure. I can appreciate that.
And you did a phenomenal job, so I want to thank you.
Well, thanks, London. I appreciate it, and it was great working with you, and thank you so much for appearing tonight and for appearing on the Expressions songs for the seasons for this season. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season, London, and continue.
Well, I really appreciate it, and I want to thank you and all of the guys that worked with you. They were all amazing and really supportive. I mean, these are some of the songs I had only sung once before, so they were like, "Oh, you sound great."
It was a Friday afternoon, so it was a perfect time, to listen to the songs. So
also want to give a shout out to everybody else you had there, all wonderful musicians and super talented, and it's wonderful to be able to be interviewed among those guys. So thank you.
Oh, that's great, London. All right, you take care, my friend. All
You
right.
as well.
All right, I think that is going to do it. We've opened all the presents. It's going to wrap up tonight's holiday edition of the Expressions Digital Director's Cut. I want to thank London McDaniel, Lawrence Elder, Chloe Solon, Alyssa Crosby, Meredith Bocek, and Melanie Valencia for joining us for this evening, and also for giving us tremendous holiday music to enjoy this season. A reminder that you can watch any of the songs for the season's Expressions episodes by visiting wskg.org/expressions, and a link to those programs is being provided in the chat. Now, if you listen to podcasts, then check out the Expressions Director's Cut podcast. Santa really delivered this month, as we have released 4 separate episodes featuring the musicians you have seen tonight, plus some vintage holiday music. And again, a link is being shared in the chat if you want to check those out or subscribe on your favorite podcast platforms. I want to thank my holiday elves, Alyssa Micha and Nancy Scales Coddington, for their expert behind-the-scenes help this evening. And we will be back in 2023 with more great concerts and arts content. But until then, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thanks so much for watching.